Hello everyone, my name is Anuj Khanna and I am a faculty member at T.I.M.E Education, Pune Center. And this is our second video based on XAT 2019. In the very first video, we have discussed the overall strategy of XAT 2019, what changes we are expecting, and it is already mentioned on their website, and how to strategize between the sections. So please watch our video to get the overall idea. We have also discussed the overall cutoff of XAT in that video. In this video, we will be focusing on one section, that is quantitative aptitude. But also, as in decision making, quantitative aptitude questions are present, in the same video, we will be solving one actual question of XAT 2018 based on maths, but it is a part of decision making. So when we are talking about the quantitative aptitude of 2019, let's take a reference from XAT 2018. Last year, out of 27 questions, there were 4 questions based on arithmetic. There were 4 questions based on geometry. There were 6 questions from algebra, 2 questions from modern maths. There were 3 questions from number system. There were 6 questions of data interpretation split into 2 sets of 3 questions each. And there were 2 questions of data sufficiency. So if you are looking at the other exams like CAT and SNAP, it is dominated by arithmetic section, although in XAT they have more focus on geometry and algebra, a section where non-engineers are not very comfortable with. So the first thing that you have to do is get yourself familiar with the theory and concepts of geometry and algebra. Also you need to learn the applications. One point that we have observed in the past 2 years of XAT paper, whenever they have given a geometric question, figures were not given. So it is about the pure imagination, and it makes our work more lengthy, as reading those questions and making a figure of that becomes priority. So it takes some more time to solve that question. The real question here we need to ask ourselves is, suppose just like last year, if this year also they give us 27 questions, how many questions are we supposed to be attempting? Keeping in mind 2 things. There is a negative marking also, and if you are going to leave some question unattempted, there is a negative marks for that also after some limits. So when we are talking about the strategy, what we have seen in the past 2 years, out of 27 questions, if a good student is able to solve 18 to 20 questions, that is considered to be very great for clearing the cutoff, because you have to remember there is a separate sectional cutoff for Quant for XAT college, which we have already discussed in detail in our another video. So please watch that. When we are talking about XAT 2019, how to tackle this? The only good thing that we have seen is this year there is no essay, but quantitative aptitude is not depending upon any other section. So how to prepare for the same? First point is, you have to decide whether you want to start with this section or no, and my suggestion is whether you start with this section or no, you should dedicate approximately 60 minutes for this section, and you should divide this 60 minutes into rounds. Very first round should consist of 35 minutes where you should be able to identify easier question, and also you need to see whether those questions are doable in 35 minutes or no. Also, you need to identify the question which are lengthier but doable, and it will obviously consume some time. That should be kept for round number 2 in this section only. And that second round should consist of 25 minutes. Ideally, in the first 35 minutes, you need to solve around 12 to 13 questions, and in the next 25 minutes, if you are able to solve 6 to 7 questions, that will be considered to be a very good job. How to decide the question will fall in which category? There are 2 or 3 simple ways to identify that. Very first way is the length of that question. Second way is to check, are you familiar with the topic? Have you solved such kind of question in the past or no? Because if there is a new question, it will require a new thought process, so it is not advisable to solve it for round number 1. If you are not familiar with the question at all, you are not comfortable, it is better to leave it. Although nowadays the students are afraid, if I am going to leave a question, that will attract the negative marks, which is true. But if you get it wrong, it will attract more negative marks that you should keep in your mind. So, geometry and algebra, which has a lot of questions in the past few years, you need to concentrate a lot on them. And out of that, some questions of algebra are straightforward. There is not much twist present in them. So you should target them in the first 35 minutes. Geometry questions should be kept for the last 25 minutes. Also, when we talk about data interpretation, out of the two caselet last year, one caselet was very simple, another caselet was calculation intensive. Please remember, whenever we are talking about XAT, there is no calculator allowed in the exam, so the calculation will become difficult for us. So if there are a lot of calculation involved, do not try to solve that question, not at least in the first round. If you are left with some time, you can keep it for the second round. Now, let's have a look at a solution of a decision-making question based on Quant. Stay tuned and watch it. So now, let's have a look at the actual question of XAT 2018, which was a Quant-based decision-making. Basically, these questions are kind of a data interpretation question which has a little bit logic attached to it. So let's have a look at the question. Last year, question number 39 to 41 was this. It was in the section of decision making, but it is considered to be based on quantitative aptitude. So I would request you to pause your video at this moment so that you can go through this caselet and also try to note down the important points of this caselet and see in the coming discussion were you able to cover each and every point. Now, there were three questions designed based on this caselet. Very first question was this one, followed by the second question, which was this one, and this was the third question. Let us try to answer them in detail in this video. But before we try to answer these questions, the most important point that we have to understand in a competitive examination is, should we solve it in the actual exam? I would recommend yes, for the following reason. First, it was very easy to understand. Second, you only need some basic knowledge in order to solve this question, especially if you are familiar with the train schedule. That means you will be able to solve this question faster. Third, the options were very useful, which we'll be discussing soon. And every question was asking for minimum time. If you have already observed that each and every question is asking for minimum time taken by this person. It is very important to understand, if all the three questions are asking the minimum time, that means if I solve one question, the same logic is applicable for the remaining two of them. So let's have a look at the questions individually. And the prerequisite for the question is to understand the fact that this person will travel from any railway station to the nearest office in 40 minutes, that is already given, irrespective of the conditions that might be given in the question. Also, he will take another 40 minutes to come back. That means that 40 minutes is only one side distance. And he will require another 10 minutes for the paperwork to deliver that parcel. Also, the assumption is employees do not waste any time in between. So there is no delay, that 90 minutes is totally fixed. Now let's have a look at the first question. Question is asking you to calculate the minimum time required to deliver a parcel at Kharagpur office from Jamshedpur station and come back to Jamshedpur station. That means the journey will start from Jamshedpur station and it will go to Kharagpur, and also the person has to come back to Jamshedpur via Kharagpur, but after delivery. So what are the points that we need to consider in order to solve this question? the travel time from Jamshedpur to Kharagpur and from Kharagpur to Jamshedpur via train. So we need to select those train which will take him minimum amount of time to do so. Also, the time from Kharagpur station to office and coming back, that is 40 minutes plus 40 minutes plus 10 minutes, which is 1.5 hours, should be considered. Now, if you look at this table, the timing of the trains are fixed. Then why will they ask about the minimum possible time? And we have to understand how to optimize this time. Now, if I have to travel in the real world from one station to another, then visit someone or do some office work, comes back to the station to return to my hometown or return to my place, then I must think about one thing. The moment I am going to arrive at that station and the moment I am going to departure from that station, there has to be a connectivity between these two timings. What I mean to say is, when this person reaches Kharagpur station, goes to the office and comes back, he has 1.5 hours to do so. So, if he is going to reach at Kharagpur station, he can board the next train after 1.5 hours. And he should not waste more time, which can easily be done if you observe it very closely in the table. If he takes train T102 from Jamshedpur to Kharagpur, he reaches there at 9:05. And after 1.5 hours, that is after dropping the parcel, he can come back to Kharagpur station, and at that time the timing will be 10:35. So the very first train he can board will be leaving at 10:40. So precisely he is going to start from Jamshedpur station at 7:30 and reach at Jamshedpur station at 12:35. That will take him 5 hours 5 minutes. That is option B, Bombay. Now let's have a look at another question. In question number 40, they are asking, an employee starting from Howrah station has to deliver one parcel at Kharagpur office and another parcel at Jamshedpur office. His task starts the moment he boards the train at Howrah station and gets completed immediately after delivering the second parcel. That means the moment he has delivered the second parcel, we have to stop at that time. We do not have to consider whether he comes back to the station or no. The question is, which of the following train should he board at Howrah station to minimize the time required to complete the task? Now, if you look at this table, then what we have to do is, he has to travel from Howrah to Kharagpur and Kharagpur to Jamshedpur, which we can decide because if you look at the options, you will observe that we do not require the first part of this table at all. The option contains train number T201, 202 and 204, which is present in the second half of the table. That means the ideal scenario is he travels from Howrah to Kharagpur and Kharagpur to Jamshedpur in that order. The points that we need to keep in our mind in solving the question is the travel time from Howrah to Kharagpur and from Kharagpur to Jamshedpur via train. Also, the time from Kharagpur station to office and come back, which will take 40 minutes plus 40 minutes plus 10 minutes that we have already discussed earlier. Also, we have to consider this time, the time from Jamshedpur station to his office, as the question is already asking us that after delivering the second parcel his job will be over, so we will not consider time of coming back to the station. Now, if you observe, just like in the previous case, he has 1.5 hours to drop the parcel at Kharagpur station. That means the connectivity between the trains should be present in that way to minimize his time. Now, if you observe the options and suppose the person starts at train T202, then you will observe that between train 202, he will be reaching Kharagpur station at 10:40. And after dropping his parcel, he can come back to that railway station at 12:10. That is after 1.5 hours. So once he reaches there at 12:10, he can board the train at 12:15. So he will be reaching Jamshedpur station at 2 o'clock. And if he starts from Howrah station via train T204, then he will be reaching Kharagpur by 4:15, and after 1.5 hours, that is 5:45, he can come back. So if you observe, in the first case, he is coming back at 12:10. The next train is present after 5 minutes. And the exact same thing is happening if he boards train 204. He comes back at 5:50 and he gets the train at 5:55. Also, the observation is, if he starts from Howrah station from train T202, later on at Kharagpur, he takes train T203, then he reaches Jamshedpur by 2 o'clock. And if he takes train T204 from Howrah station to Kharagpur and train T205 from Kharagpur to Jamshedpur, he starts at 2:30 and reaches at 8 o'clock. Precisely, the time gap between these two cases is exactly same. Hence, the correct answer will be option E, both option B and option C. Now, the next question. The next question is stating that an employee starting from Kharagpur station has to deliver one parcel at Howrah office and another parcel at Jamshedpur office. His task starts the moment he boards the train at Kharagpur station and gets completed immediately after delivering the second parcel. This question is exactly same as the previous one. However, there is a difference. This time the starting is Kharagpur station. If you observe, in the last case, the starting was from Howrah station, and if you look at the second part of this table, Howrah station is actually the starting from which both of the remaining two stations can be covered up. But in this case, because he is starting from Kharagpur, problem is this. We have to consider both the cases, the first part of the table as well as second part of the table, as the option suggests that. Also, there is one more problem that we'll be discussing soon. But what are the points, what are the keys that we have to remember for this question? The points that we need to consider is, which one to select first? Should he go from Kharagpur to Jamshedpur, then go to Howrah? Or should he take Kharagpur to Howrah and then go to Jamshedpur? Also, we have to consider the time from station to office and coming back, which is a standard, just like the past two questions. It will take 90 minutes, and also the time to drop the parcel at the second location, which will take 50 minutes, just like the previous question. But in this question, the major problem is which route should he select. Now he has two options with him. Option number one, he can go from Kharagpur to Howrah, then Howrah to Jamshedpur. That is, he will start from the Kharagpur station via train number T102 or 103, we will not consider the other train as they are not present in the option at all. And then he should get a connective train from Howrah station to Jamshedpur station. Second thing that he can do is he can go from Kharagpur to Jamshedpur and then Jamshedpur to Howrah. That is the second option as suggested by option C and D, where he can board at Kharagpur station, which is the major question, and he can use train number T 202 and 203 because of the option C and D. Just like the previous questions, we have to see once he reaches the Kharagpur station, just like the previous question, we have to keep in mind once he reaches from Kharagpur to Jamshedpur or Kharagpur to Howrah station, then he must get a connective train after exactly 1.5 hours. So let us try to understand by the help of option how can he do that. Now if you observe closely, let's say we start with option A, that is train T102. Now if he takes train T102 from Kharagpur station, he has to go to Howrah station. So he'll be reaching Howrah station at 11:10. Then he'll be dropping the parcel in 1.5 hours. He'll be coming back to Howrah station. That means he will reach by 12:40. But if you observe the next train which will take him from Howrah station to Jamshedpur will start at 2:30. So he will be wasting a lot of time in this, and hence it may not be a recommended way. Let us try to understand, can we do it and can we optimize the timing with any other way? For example, if we are talking about option C, that is T202. If he takes train number T202, where he is boarding from Kharagpur station, then he will be boarding at 10:40. He will be reaching first Jamshedpur station at 12:35, and then he will be dropping the parcel in 1.5 hours. So he will be coming back to the station at 2:05. Now from Jamshedpur, he needs to board a train towards Howrah station, which will be available at 3 o'clock. May or may not be a solution, because here he has to wait on the station for 55 minutes. So let us try to understand, can there be any other solution? Now if I observe option B and if I try option B, then he will be boarding train number 103 from Kharagpur station, will be reaching Howrah station at 2:30. He will be delivering the parcel in 1.5 hours. So he will be coming back to Howrah station at exact 4 o'clock, and surprise, there is a train waiting for him at 4 o'clock, so he won't be wasting a single second in boarding that train. That means this will be a perfect solution to the problem. So the answer of this question should be answer option B, where he is boarding the train number T103 and later on boarding train 205 to complete his task. So I hope that you have learned there are different thought process of thinking for one particular question. So now how to prepare in the last few days. I would recommend that you refer to our study material, and also the mock XAT paper will help you a lot in cracking the coming examination. Also, you can download the previous year XAT papers and learn them, which are available online. So all the best everyone, and do subscribe to our channel for these kind of videos. We'll keep updating you and we'll keep informing you. Have a nice time.